Adulting Makes Me Wine. I'm your girl Chris, and if Adulting makes you wine too, then we might as well wine together. Today,
I like that.
Today I have a very special guest. Do you go by David? David Jack?
You know, I go by anything that people call me,
Okay.
but David's totally fine. Yeah.
All right. So I have David here. He is the owner of Blossom Beverages, Washington, D.C.'s very first canned Espresso Martini brand and company. Yeah, so let's just dive right into it. Tell me how you came up with Blossom Beverages.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, by the way.
Of course.
And we're at the beautiful Selena Hotel in Union Market. So thank you, Selena, for having us. So how Blossom was born is really a love story between coffee, right, and really having a good time. So I know that's very sort of 50,000 foot level. So I'll kind of bring it down. We named the company Blossom because we're all about sharing just fun, memorable moments with people. And when you have a new conversation, or you meet someone new, or you're with friends and family, and you're having a good time, you tend to blossom.
Yeah.
And when you blossom, really beautiful things grow.
Absolutely.
And so we wanted to start with the why. And so we named the company Blossom. Now, Blossom is an espresso martini. And so I'm a huge fan and lover of the espresso martini. It's my favorite cocktail, and honestly, it's taken the world by storm, right?
Yeah.
You can't go to a restaurant and not see dozens of espresso martinis, all over the place. And I noticed that, I noticed that trend. And I'm, like I said, a big fan and a lover, and became very passionate about the espresso martini. Okay. So I dove in head first, straight into the coffee, head first, and started really playing around with different recipes, and kind of found my love affair with the espresso martini was with chocolate. Okay. That coffee, that chocolate, that combination just like hits you different. In fact, on the can, that's one of our sayings, it hits you different because you are different. Yes. So I noticed this trend, but really good espresso martinis are really hard to make. You can only get them at really great cocktail bars.
Yeah.
And I was at all these functions and events and music festivals and shows, and I wanted that like boozy pick-me-up, but you couldn't get one. I was at a Caps game at Capital One Center, and all I wanted was an espresso martini, but you can't make an espresso martini there. So we decided to take the world's most popular cocktail, one that we loved, and to put it in a can so that you can have an espresso martini anywhere and everywhere. So that's how it kind of all began and started, and that was 6 short months ago, and things have been blossoming since.
Do you remember your first espresso martini?
I do.
What was it like? Like, you gotta tell me about. You gotta tell me about it.
So, my first espresso martini was made by a good friend of mine. He is an incredible mixologist, very well known in the city. And I had met him, and he asked me, he's like, "Have you had an espresso martini before?" This was in 2017. Okay. This was 2017, and 2018, excuse me. And I go, "No, I've never even heard of it." He goes, "Well, let me make you one." So we were at we went down to the bar, and he took a fresh puck of espresso. I can hear the whistles now of the espresso machine. Wow. He did it all live, took it out, mixed it for me, and literally made magic. And I tasted it for the first time, and I had that like wow experience. I remember it vividly. I was like, I don't know if you remember like Ratatouille, when the guy at the end, he like eats it and he turns from a curmudgeon to like a good guy. That was me. I was like cranky, and I had it. I was like, whoa.
Changed your life.
Changed my life. Literally.
Changed your whole life.
Literally changed my whole life. And I fell in love that day with the espresso martini. And since, hundreds of thousands of people have also had the same experience. Where you taste your first espresso martini, and it's just so delicious, it's so flavorful. It's such a complex cocktail. There's so much, there's such a universe to explore, so many different flavors, so many different types of coffee, so many different types of things that pair well with coffee. So that was my first experience with the espresso martini. But when we were doing recipe development with Blossom, so Blossom's actually 45 recipes later. It took us 45 rounds, of recipes to get to this liquid. And when I tasted recipe 45, I had that same experience. And I was brought back to when I had my first espresso martini, and that's when I knew, okay, we got it. Like, no more recipe, like 45, like we're done. Because I was brought back to my first espresso martini made by a good buddy of mine.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what were you doing, I guess, prior to prior to Blossom Beverages? Where were you at? Like, how did that idea form? Like, what took you from whatever you were doing to like, I want to get into the beverage industry?
So funny. Blossom's a culmination of all of my experience to date. Which is wild because I've done a lot of different things. So my background's technology and venture capital. So I've built up a few tech companies. I've been a part of a few really awesome, successful exits. So I was in telecommunications for a while. I was in healthcare IT as well. I was in artificial intelligence and machine learning. And then venture capital, where we were helping incubate startups and meeting paper napkin founders who have just an idea, and we were helping guide them to take their idea on paper and bring it to real life. And so that's my background. But on all those companies, I led marketing and branding and communications. And so I also have done a bit of consulting in the events and the music industry and the nightlife industry. So all of these things in my past, I had no idea would lead me to develop a paper napkin espresso martini idea that requires the understanding of how to build a startup, requires the understanding of how to create great partnerships, create the understanding of how to find investors and bring on capital, and scaling a product from one can to hundreds of thousands, and then finally understanding how to build a brand. And how to build a brand correctly, which I've learned through trial and error, by all means. Made a lot of wrong decisions, but all the sum of that experience, Chris, has made Blossom like what it is today. And I can't take credit for it by any means. There are so many people that are part of the Blossom story that have been so helpful. Friends, family, mentors, investors, partners, new people. It's been a really amazing journey. But I was looking for something to do that was fun, that I could really love. And so tech was great, and I still have my roots there. But I wanted to do something where we could not take ourselves too seriously and have a good time, but still build a brand and a company that's that's viable and hopefully successful. So that's what I did before. And if you would have asked me 10 years ago, hey David, you're going to be part of a beverage company, I'd probably laugh in your face. But that's sort of how the world works.
That's the crazy thing about life, and how we grow and how we develop and how we change, and we never know what's going to happen 10 years from now. So,
absolutely not.
Yeah. So I work in tech too. So I'm in cybersecurity.
Beautiful.
And 5 years ago, if you would have told me like you're gonna be a wine brand, you know, and you're gonna be educating people on wine and spirits and everything, I'd have been like, I mean, that sounds nice, but nah, like that's
no way, right?
Nah. So you mentioned, you know, how, you know, the process of how you grew and kind of scaled it from just one can to hundreds of thousands of cans. What else would you say kind of challenged you throughout that whole process? And like, what challenges did you face?
Wow, where do I mean?
Where
do I start? And how much time do I have?
Pick one.
There's challenges every day.
Yeah.
But but I'm an entrepreneur, tried and true, and someone taught me this early on. The definition of an entrepreneur is nothing more than someone who solves problems.
That is true.
And so we solve problems every day. In fact, Blossom is a solution to a problem. The problem is people love espresso martinis, but they can't get them.
Right.
So we're solving that problem. Another problem we're solving is at bars and restaurants and clubs and music festivals. You know, no one likes waiting, 20 minutes for a cocktail or a drink. Right. Well, now you take 2 seconds to pop a top and hand it to a customer.
Absolutely.
So we took what used to take like 5 to 10 minutes, and we changed it to, what used to take 5 to 10 minutes, we've changed it to like 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
Now, a problem challenges that I faced as an entrepreneur early on was really, we wanted to create like a bold brand that was unique and different. Yeah. And, the name of the company's Blossom. Mm-hmm. Our color scheme's a pink to blue hue. Yeah. None of that screams coffee. And I got a lot of like challenges early on from people like, horrible idea. Why would you name the company that? Why would you pick that color?
I'm not gonna lie, when I heard Blossom Beverage and thought DC, I thought it had something to do with cherry blossoms. Yeah. I did. I thought it had something to do with DC and cherry blossom being like.
Well, it does. Like I said, Blossom. The why behind Blossom is when you're with someone and you're sharing a moment together. You're having fun, like you blossom. Yeah. And so that was the core. But we're also a DC company. We're so proud of being a DC born and made in DC company. So I was thinking, how can I tie in DC culture? Mm-hmm. And the cherry blossoms are, one of DC's, the most vibrant pieces of DC culture. So that story kind of told itself. It's like a DC story. It's sharing a moments together kind of story. Mm-hmm. So that was a challenge that I faced was in the branding early on. Mm-hmm. But then creating a beverage company is not easy at all. Yeah, and I thought it was going to be a layup. In fact, if I showed you my first business plan, you would laugh even harder than that. Like, it's hysterical. My first idea for Blossom was we were going to large batch espresso martinis at a bar. We were going to take the big bucket of espresso martinis. We were going to buy a self-canner. We were going to self-can cans. We were going to slap on labels. And all of those things I just mentioned, not only are those bad business decisions, it's terribly illegal. Okay? And so I had to learn overnight. Excuse me. I had to learn overnight how to not only build a brand, but how to become a chemist. Like there's some serious chemistry that goes into this cocktail. There are multiple elements. There's nitro. There's booze. There's coffee. There's chocolate. There's different types of chocolate. There's vanilla. There's a whole process of how to correctly can beverages at scale. And so I had to learn overnight not only how to build a brand, but to really jump into the beverage industry. So that took a while, but I have some amazing mentors who I leaned on, and I called, 1 a.m. I can't sleep. A good friend of mine, he's the CEO of Drunk Fruit. He's Ken, and he and Drunk Fruit is such a big part of the Blossom story. Called Ken up, hey Ken, I don't know what to do here, man. Like, what's your advice? And that's just one example of just dozens of people who have supported me personally and the brand to make Blossom what it is today. So have faced many challenges, but have been able to combat those challenges with really great mentors, really great supporters, and being an entrepreneur and just problem solving and not taking no for an answer, and figuring it out. And many more fun challenges ahead, and can't wait to meet them. But here that's part of the story. That's part of the journey. None of this stuff is easy. You look at the can on the shelf and you're like, wow, that looks great, right? Like you mentioned, I love the colors. There's so much beneath the water line that makes this possible, but it's so worth it at the end of the day. It's so worth it.
So what do you think sets Blossom Beverages apart from, I think there's like another Espresso Martini company, like Kahlua, I think has one. Like, what do you think makes it different? Like, tell the people, y'all need to come and get you one of these.
Well, many things make Blossom different. We wanted to make the Espresso Martini approachable, meaning we wanted to make it drinkable. We didn't want it to be too sweet. We didn't want it to be too bitter. We wanted it to be right in the middle, like balance.
Okay.
And I'm a big believer in balance in all walks of life, but definitely in a cocktail.
Okay.
You don't want something too harsh. You don't want you want it to be a pleasant experience. And so what makes Blossom different, first and foremost, is our love for coffee. So in Blossom, in Blossom cans, we leverage La Colombe espresso. So it's very, very high quality coffee. So that's one of the biggest differences of Blossom. Secondly, we really took the time to get the liquid right. Like I mentioned, 45 recipes. That took 18 months of R&D. So it wasn't like, oh, let's the Espresso Martini is a trend. Let's get a can together and we'll sell millions. It was like painstaking months of deliberation and what if we bring down the level of vanilla just a tad, because that'll allow you to experience the coffee a little more. Oh, but now you taste too much of the vodka, so why don't we add a spice in there to kind of make it that mouth feel a little bit better. So all these decisions were painstaking, but were purposeful. We wanted to do the Espresso Martini right. So and then finally, I mean, there's many reasons, but the last one I'll give you is Blossom is scientifically a great product. We did a lot of chemistry to make a shelf-stable beverage that's only 9% ABV. So when you go higher than 9%, when you're in the 15 or the 20 kind of range, that turns from a drink to I
definitely get you. It goes from being having a good time and enjoyable to now I'm I can't even remember what happened.
I can't remember my
I can't
moment.
even remember So I get it.
No one wants that.
Yeah.
And it also doesn't make an enjoyable drinking experience.
That
too
bite strong.
Is too strong. So we did some chemistry, all natural ingredients, mind you, to get it at that 9% level where you can enjoy, drinking it, and you don't get that harsh bite of a spirit or a vodka, and it's also gluten and dairy free. So that's
important.
Yeah. It truly
that is important to know. Dairy free, because a lot of us are lactose intolerant.
That's right.
We can't handle dairy, so that's really good to know.
Oh yeah, we're friendly to those folks, and even if you're not having a lot of dairy,
it's
not like Blossom's about like getting the party going, like, having a good time. Like, you don't want a bunch of milk kind of like weighing you down, right? It also wants to be, I wanted it to be drinkable, so you can have 1, 2, 3. The record's 8. I hold the record for the most Blossom consumed in one sitting.
In one sitting? Oh.
Well, I should have started by saying I'm a highly caffeinated individual. I love coffee, and it fuels me.
Okay.
So when I learned that, I could have that same like coffee buzz at happy hour, like say less.
Right.
And so 8 of them, and that was at our launch event in November. So we launched in November of 2022 at an outdoor DJ Fuel pop-up outside of the Union Market, and that's how we were brought into the world. That's how we came out with a bang, and so it was like a 5-hour kind of event.
Okay.
But 8 of them.
So 6 months, Blossom Beverages launched in November. In that 6 months, how have you taken it from where it was 6 months ago to where it is now? And what's changed and what works?
Whoa. Okay. So 6 months feels like a lifetime.
Okay.
But it's only 6 months.
It's only 6
right?
months, right?
I have to remind myself. You're talking about challenges. I have to remind myself a lot that we're just getting started.
Right?
I've always had this this internal sort of mission statement: dream big, and I have to remind myself, like, yes, we're dreaming big. Blossom's dreaming big. Everyone on the team dreams big, but we also have to take sort of baby steps. And so I have to remind myself, like, you want to be everywhere, but it takes time. But to answer your question, we launched in 6 months ago, and in 6 long or short months, depending how you look at it, we've had some amazing success so far, and it's really all because of the community. It's all because of our team. I have some of my best friends who we've built this company together. We're about 6 folks deep right now, and all those people are really, really important to me personally. But the Blossom story is all because of them, and due to, as I mentioned, mentors, supporting how can I help, new folks who are taking a risk on bringing Blossom on to their menus. We've been able to sell out consistently, which is a good and bad problem, because obviously you don't want to not have inventory, but it's great when people love it so much. So we're figuring that out. But we're in about 40 retail locations in DC.
Okay.
We just a few weeks ago launched at Nationals Park. So we're being sold in a Major League Baseball stadium, which is a dream come true. We also actually, after filming this podcast with you today, we're in our first professional boxing match at the Entertainment Sports Arena. I always used to, like, when I was explaining Blossom to people, I'd be like, it's a punch of espresso and booze, and now I get to actually see that live in action at a boxing match, which is pretty cool. And then we just we're coming off the heels of our first music festival. So I'm a big lover of music and a big believer in building sort of communities, right? And so music festivals for me was like a big part of when we started Blossom. And so we just had our first music festival at Project Glow Fest, which was a smash success. So 6 months. We've had some great wins, learned so much through the process, more of what not to do. But that's like, that's part of it, I guess. And the best part of it all is when just yesterday I was at a concert. A friend of ours is a traveling artist, a massive artist by the name of Seven Lions. And I was down in the pit at the show, and I saw someone with a Blossom can, And I didn't know, I didn't know that dude, but I went up to him. He could barely hear me. I'm like, hey, you like that? He goes, I love it.
Yeah.
And that's so worth, like, it's so funny to see, like, people when they first taste it kind of see that same wow experience that I had, also see that, like, in their eyes. And then, that's worth it all. It's really cool. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm sold. I wanna try it now. You mentioned chocolate. You mentioned vanilla.
Yep.
I think I read somewhere there was like nutmeg or something in it.
That's right.
Let's try it. I want to try it. I want to try it. And while I'm trying it,
I want you to shake it gently. It's not gonna, I'm not trying to do that. That would make for good, footage. But yeah, shake it gently. Yeah, you want all the flavors to commingle and party in there. Okay. And then just pop the top and get after it.
While I'm trying it, I want you to. Do you have any tips for any entrepreneurs that are just starting out? Because you have a lot of experience in entrepreneurship. So do you have any tips or advice for?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say, well, before I give the tips, what do you think?
It's really good.
It is?
This is really good.
Well, cheers to that.
Cheers.
So tips to entrepreneurship. First and foremost, write your vision on paper. Write your ideas on paper. Okay. There's something that happens when you transfer your idea from up here to actually physically on something. Yeah. Whether it be you type it out or what have you. It's also a great activity for you because I have a notes in my phone. I have a note that has about 1,000 bad business ideas, but in there are maybe like 2 or 3 pretty good ones. And it takes that exercise to take what God's given you up here and put it on paper. So that's first and foremost what someone taught me. I guess another tip would be like go for it. The only way to dream big is to actually do it. Yeah. And that could be scary, but I promise you, when you really decide to cross that chasm, it is so worth it. There's this horrible quote that I don't know who came up with it, okay? And you may have heard of it. It's when you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. And I think that is like the dumbest thing that anyone's ever said, because I love what I do so much that I have the opportunity to work every day of my life for that thing.
And if you want something to go right, you have to work. You have to work for it.
You can't just sit back and things happen. You have to give that energy. And when you give that energy, there's just the universe, whatever you want to call it, gives it back. Yeah. And you'll fail, but failing is good. Yeah. I've failed many times in my life, but I've learned so much from those failures that have turned to long-term successes. All my lessons learned, we're now implementing in Blossom, and things are going great. And finally, I also learned this coming up. Relationships are so important, and giving of oneself to someone else and treating people right is so important. Yeah. Every single success I've had in my career, both professionally and personally, has always come from a moment of service. How can I help you? Yeah. And that energy that I've given, not wanting something back immediately, but just that like moment of service has paid out in dividends. Yeah. It's the only reason why Blossom is a thing, is because many times I've went to someone and said, hey, I love your idea, I love what you're doing, how can I help? Mm-hmm. And sometimes that help was free. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, that help came with a nice retainer, but that act of service and comes back full circle. Right. And when it does come back, it's pretty big. Okay. So those would be my off the cuff tips. I don't know if any of those were worthy of trying, but that's,
of course
yeah,
they were.
that's that.
They definitely were. So what's next for Blossom Beverages? Are you strictly sticking to the espresso martinis? Is there another cocktail you want to try in a can, or like,
yeah,
what do the next 6, 12, 18 months look like for Blossom Beverages?
Yeah, so the next 6 and 12 months, 24, whatever you want to call it, is going to be really exciting. We are so proud of this liquid, and people are loving it, and so we're really going to lean in into other markets. We're gonna take it from DC, what was made in DC and born in DC, and we're gonna export that to New York, to Maryland, to Virginia, to Florida, to LA, to Colorado, and the list goes on. So that's first. We're gonna expand in the next 6 months to a few other markets, which is exciting. I'm from New York originally, so I'm so excited to be in my neighborhood, nice. And
what part of New York?
I grew up in Long Island, and then I spent some time in Brooklyn and the city, and so to be there, for Blossom to be there is going to be a dream come true, truly. Nice. So that's one. The next product, the next flavor that we're doing is going to be a tequila version.
You're speaking my language.
Oh my gosh! I actually we just started taste testing recipes. Probably will take another 45, and kind of how we roll. Yeah. But there's this beautiful trend happening right now with coffee and tequila, and so some folks call it a Mexican coffee. Some folks just call it espresso martini with tequila. We're figuring out kind of how we're going to make that cocktail approachable.
Nice.
But tequila's in our future.
Okay.
And I got to be honest, like I said, I tasted it just 2 days ago. So good. Like it's really gonna blow people's socks off. It's gonna be amazing. So that's what's next. And then to be quite honest, I'll be the first to admit, I think I have great ideas, but it's all about what the community's doing. What are people drinking? What are people enjoying?
Right.
And so we talk to a lot of people. We're always having conversations. We're always pulling people on Instagram. One of my favorite things is literally like searching restaurants from our Blossom Beverages account. And seeing someone post a story at a restaurant and reaching out and saying, "Hey, I'm David from Blossom. Like, what did you think about this cocktail?" Yeah. And I think that's another differentiator. We're grassroots. Blossom was built behind the bar, not in the boardroom.
Right.
And so that mind share and that heartbeat of what the culture is really important. So that's what we're going to do with the next few SKUs and flavors. Is going to be what people are actually drinking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. Well, you're definitely onto something, because this right here. So let me tell you, my first experience with an espresso martini was at a restaurant called Smoke and Mirrors.
Yeah, I've been there. Yeah.
And it was cool. It was good. And so then sometime around Christmas, we tried to make our own coconut espresso martini at home, and it was strong. Like it was real strong. It was good.
Strong in like what sense? The booze?
The booze. We used a coconut flavored vodka.
Okay, gotcha.
So it was good. Probably got a little heavy handed.
Yeah. A little too sharp.
Rocking around the Christmas tree. That's what it was.
I love it. But coconut that's flavorful. That's fruity. I like that.
Yeah.
So good besides the strong?
It was good.
Yeah.
It was really good. We tried it again, perfected it a little bit.
Okay,
little easy on the coconut vodka, and it was really good. So I'm a fan now. I'm a fan of the espresso martini, and this is the best I've tasted.
Oh my gosh.
This is really good.
Thank you so much.
That
means a lot.
Really good. And now to think that you're getting involved with tequila, because tequila's my thing. I like tequila.
Same here.
I love it. So.
Well, it's just another example of, I love things that, below the waterline, like the iceberg. Tequila, there's so much that goes into tequila.
Oh yeah.
You know, there's such a process. There's so many flavors. Yeah. It is a very strong spirit, so you do have to, dial the recipe just right to make it not too strong, et cetera, et cetera. And that's what we're doing right now. I'm a huge fan of tequila, and that is like the new wave coming up. Yeah. Is the tequila coffee wave is happening. Yeah. And the espresso martini also there's definitely been a bell curve kind of growth with the trend, but it's also a staple. The espresso martini is not a trend. It's truly a coffee cocktail that will be here for
I wanted to ask this earlier. What do you think made it so, because it's been around for a while, but what do you think made it so popular, like within the last 2 years, a year maybe? Like what blew it up?
Well, many things. For sure, like COVID. I mean, people are home, drinking coffee, and there's a bottle of vodka. Let's put those two things together and
for sure.
Let's make this email really fun. But I really think it's there's been some amazing mixologists that have taken the espresso martini and made it a true craft, like there's craftsmanship to it, because it's such a complex cocktail. So there's thousands of bartenders around the country that have made it their mission to make the espresso martini like them, and they've made magic. And so when you have 1,000 amazing bartenders, or more than 1,000, that's a movement. Yeah. So I think that was a part of it. Like a lot of really great cocktail bars and restaurants were able to explore the espresso martini. I think also how do things blow up these days? Social media. Yeah. It's such a beautiful cocktail. Yeah. It presents itself so well. It's the layer of foam, the brown, chocolatey, pouring and liquid, and the chocolate shavings just sprinkling down. The coffee beans. Yeah. So social media is a big reason why people learned about the espresso martini like overnight. Okay. The espresso martini has been around since the 80s. Dick Braswell is the godfather, the founder of the espresso martini. Do you know the story?
No.
So Dick Braswell is an amazing, he's since passed, but an incredible bartender in Europe and famous in London. And Kate Moss, the famous actress and supermodel, came to his bar late night and looked at Dick in the eyes and said, "Make me a drink that'll wake me up and bleep me up." And I don't know if this podcast is family friendly or not. So she says that to Dick, and he looks at her, and that night he went behind the bar and he made the first espresso martini. Wow. He presented it in a martini glass. That's why I got named the espresso martini. And it was literally espresso and vodka, and it did exactly what Miss Moss asked for. It woke her up, and it got her going. Yeah. And that night the espresso martini was born. Nice. And then you had all of these other bartenders and mixologists make it their own and continue to innovate on top of it. And decades later, here we are.
I did not know that. Yeah. I really just thought it was something that just became popular like after Drake, because I think in one of Drake's in one of his songs he said something about an espresso martini, and I'm like, okay.
I've been sent that lyric like so many times by friends to try to like do something playful on Instagram. We just haven't gotten around to doing it. Okay. But yeah, and honestly, coffee and spirits that marriage has been around forever. Irish coffee, right? This isn't new. It's just it's evolving, and it's evolving really beautifully because people really take pride. Like, I love bartenders, I love mixologists. You know, there's no better, you know, kind of salad bowl of culture than a great cocktail bar. You have every slice of every color of persons and people, and, and those people behind the bar are the culture. Those are the folks who not only spend their lives crafting things, they create these platforms for us to enjoy ourselves and blossom.
Thank you so much for agreeing to sit and chat with me. I definitely enjoy this. Why don't you tell people where they can buy Blossom Beverages, and tell them where they can follow you?
Yeah, so Blossom is available in Washington, D.C. currently. You can go to our website, blossombeverages.com. We have a handy dandy store finder. Type in your address, it'll tell you the closest retail store where Blossom is sold. We're also at Nationals Park, we're at Echo Stage, we're at Soundcheck. We will be sold at Mystics games on the WNBA, which is amazing, and many more probably by the time this airs. Follow us on Instagram. Blossom Beverages is our handle, and we would love to meet you. We'd love for you to try Blossom yourself, and we're so excited about this journey. And thank you so much for having me on, and having Blossom as a part of now your story. I know it's not wine, but you know, it's kind of close. That's how you can find us, and we're so excited about the future.
Awesome. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and go and follow Blossom Beverages on Instagram.
Make life blossom. That's the motto.
Yes, make life blossom. And without further ado, thank you so much for joining me on this video. And I'll see you guys in my next video.